On today's show, Trae Young is a Washington Wizard, but for how long will he be a Wizard? Does an extension make sense for Trae Young? Joe House from The Ringer helps answer that question.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards. We're your part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, free and available every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Alongside the DC sports content creating savant Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable IO. And today we are honored to be joined by House from the Ringer Podcast Network. He's on so many podcasts at this point, I don't even know how I can list all of them out. So, House, why don't you go ahead and just tell us all the incredible work you do here real quick?
I couldn't possibly. I have no idea where to even start. I'm on the Ringer Gambling feed. Thank God golf is right around the corner. The golf season is upon us. The Fairway Rolling podcast, we started that up. We've got one in the feed fresh right now. And, it's football season. So these football playoffs are amazing. And we are doing pregame shows before each of the playoff days, both Saturday and Sunday right now. But that's enough House for everybody out there.
There's been a lot of great discourse, and this news of the Trae Young trade to the Washington Wizards has given some more buzz to the local Flavor Hoops team than probably on the majority of episodes of podcasts that you've done in recent years, House. So on today's show, we talk about Trae Young, a possible extension for future this summer maybe, what that would look like. Would this be the move the Wizards should make? Is this the bold move the Wizards had to take the next step in the rebuild? And then what's the best case scenario going forward with Trae Young? All right, so House, I want to start with this. Does it make sense for Washington to take a risk and commit to Young being their lead guard for the next few years? Because that would come at a pretty substantial price. We'll get into logistics of it as we go along here. But do you feel like this should be the move for the Wizards going forward?
I think so. And the reason that I say so, couple kind of angles to it. In the first place, there's no doubt that the Wizards have the cap room, and they're going to have to meet the floor salary wise. Whoever they draft in this upcoming 2026 draft will be the second highest paid player on the team. So just to meet the floor, but also part of why I think an extension makes sense from the franchise's point of view is because you want to continue the goodwill that you're engendering in the NBA marketplace. You want to show other players that might be interested, that might, have previously looked at Washington and dismissed Washington as a potential landing site, that there is a new front office in town, trustworthy front office, and that the work that this front office is doing to build something sustainable, to build something compelling, that you want to validate that. And part of that includes, I think, paying a player like Trae Young. And also from the franchise perspective, my view is I think that, it's a very low cost way, notwithstanding whatever they pay in the extension, to find out what Trae Young has for the latter part, the second half of his career here. We've kind of seen one version of Trae Young through the first half of his career. And it's so curious, so interesting to me that he's basically Brad Beal 8 years ago. And, the thing that a lot of folks have pointed out is how we basically turned Brad Beal into Trae Young. You can go trade by trade, player by player, and along the way acquired a bunch of very valuable, desirable trade assets from Phoenix and trade asset from Golden State. Trae Young still has the opportunity here in view of, the situation not working out in Atlanta, to reestablish himself, to rehabilitate himself. There's no question that he's a dynamic scorer. we don't really need that part of Trae Young, but what we really need is his ability to facilitate these young guys, and let us see what Trey Johnson, what Bilal Coulibaly, what Keyshawn George on the perimeter, especially. Can there be a pick and roll lob thing with Sarr? To date, we haven't had a point guard here in Washington that was going to help reveal any of those things. Not with, I mean, no disrespect intended whatsoever towards CJ McCollum, who is an incredible professional, but a dynamic point guard. So those are sort of the angles that I look at it from and think of it as a net positive.
Yeah, I like how you bring up the fact, House, that this front office knows what they're doing, because past regimes, it was just a lot of trading for wash guys, for young guys, and in exchange, you maybe get 2 or 3 wins in the first round, but you'll never make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, which Trae Young has done in his career. I like how you talked about the young guys playing alongside Trae. My question is, which young guy do you think will benefit the most from playing alongside Young?
I hope the answer is multiple, but honestly, I think Trey Johnson stands to really benefit, because what he's showing us through his sort of own devices, he's manufacturing it through his own hard work, is his range and his ability to get 3-pointers off from really kind of anywhere. If it's the case that those turn into unattended threes, right? Threes that are open looks. I'm the one that I really don't even dare mention is Bilal, because I hope he's not a lost cause offensively, but we haven't really seen growth out of him yet.
It's a fair point. I think we get a lot of discourse about Bilal and what his future looks like. Going back to the conversation of extension, I'm gonna kind of break the cardinal sin here in sports broadcasting and ask you a 2-parter. What does the extension look like? Because $50 million AAV would make him at least the 8th highest paid point guard per spot rack. Is he worth that at this point? And is there any chance that you see him take a more team-friendly contract?
I think it's in the neighborhood. It's going to be in that 50 range, and there's 2 reasons for that. In the first place, having acquired him, again, for the franchise sort of establishing itself in the NBA marketplace, you don't want to disrespect him. And the team has the money. But the other aspect to it, to me, is like 50 doesn't scare me, because that's the today price, not the tomorrow price or the price 2 years from now. The way the cap is going to behave, I believe, is it's just continued upward trajectory with the salary cap. And so 50 might look like a bargain 18 months from now, which might be the time that he could be on the market. Washington having had wild success in this upcoming 2026 draft, and maybe looking at continuing to build the young core. The timeline for Trey might be a more valuable asset to another team in 18 months if he's able to pull off the thing that I'm really hoping, glass half full, that he becomes a real facilitator, that he leads the league in assists once again, but our young guys are the beneficiaries of it.
Yeah, I think Trey's extension talk, I think it is going to happen, House. I don't see him getting flipped, because I think the fit is just there when you talk about the fact that this team needs a guy that can facilitate this offense. And do you think the idea of him being here long-term affects the plan of Darren Peterson potentially coming to Washington? Because a lot of Wizards fans are very high on him.
No. I mean, I think it would be fine for Peterson to come here. I don't think that Trey is an obstacle in any way, shape, or form. And, long-term is when we talk about a player being around long term, like, it's hard to kind of define that, right? Like, what is the window that Trae Young will occupy here on this Washington team? But the thing that to me counsels in favor of the extension, and that the team really sort of biting down hard on seeing what he's capable of, is we're not going to see anything for the balance of this season. The whole point, the reason for acquiring Trae Young is because we're not in a hurry. And the most important goal for this season is to finish with a bottom 4 record. Well, Trae Young sort of slowly coming back from the 2 injuries that he's coming back from, that's fine. That works up with our timeline. We're going to take a bunch of losses here of these remaining 35, 40 games or so, and that's all okay, because we really have to ensure that the record ends up bottom 4.
It's no question the Wizards bought low in this situation, but is this move bold, and is this the move the Wizards needed to take to get to the next step in the rebuild? We tell you that next here on Locked On Wizards. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts, and it adds a little extra Friday night basketball energy without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping in NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. The new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair is everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. I picked up new bedding and accent pillows from Wayfair, and it completely changed how my bedroom feels. It's cleaner, calmer, and more put together. Shopping is easy, delivery is smooth, and everything arrives exactly as I expected. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less, and head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. We're joined by our guy House, native of the District of Columbia, massive Wizards fan. Real quick before I get into the topic that we have on hand for this second segment, listening to some of your podcasts, House, you and Bill Simmons, one of them, that's my favorite. I'd recommend everybody go check that out. You get a lot of crap from Bill for being a Wizards fan. So I just wanted to kind of get your perspective here on the team as it's trying to ascend forward in this rebuild. Do you feel like the days of being tormented by your co-hosts are going to come to an end soon here?
I sure hope so. I mean, I have to tell you, when we met each other in college eons ago, the Celtics, and the Bullets were in the same, sort of competitive strata. Now, Washington was always a little brother to Boston in terms of the competitiveness, and there never was really a rivalry. But man, over these decades, Boston has gotten better. Boston's got more titles. There really isn't anything to talk about in terms of the Washington basketball team. 2017 was supposed to be the year. I mean, we took them to the game 7 of the semifinals. And I'll never forgive Kelly Olynyk for what he did to us in that fourth quarter.
Can you believe he was a Wizard for like a week or whatever it was?
Well, he's a great guy, and I've had the good fortune of meeting him. He's a big food guy. He would have been a real asset for the Washington team, but he understands that we can never forgive him for what he did to us in 2017.
I salute you, House, for not jumping ship after 2017, because many Wizards fans clearly don't care about the team anymore.
No, there's always hope springs eternal. I mean, the year that Russell Westbrook arrived and taught Denny Avdia how to be a professional basketball player and dragged that bum team into the playoffs. Of course, it was a 4-1 or 4-0 loss to the Sixers. I can't remember. Did we win a game or did we
won one game?
One game. There we go. We won one game. That goes without saying. But I'll forever hold Russell Westbrook in the highest esteem for dragging that team to the playoffs.
I mean, it's crazy. And just off topic, that Russell Westbrook season, I feel like is really underappreciated actually for his entire. That might be a top 5 season in his career, to say the least. But we can save that debate for another day. This Wizards rebuilding team, I made the point on the podcast after they made this move. Depending on how things go, if this is a move where it helps them get to a more competitive state next year, but like you mentioned in the first segment, show that you can be an attraction, a destination for other players in the league. I said we might look back on this night and say that's when the Washington Wizards decided to be a serious basketball franchise again. Do you get that vibe from this move as well?
I don't know. I have to tell you. And part of that is because my mindset for this season was understanding that we wanted to once again, sort of bottom feed, but we want to see some progress out of the young players. We want the kids that we draft. We want to see Trey Johnson get a whole bunch of opportunity. We want to see growth out of Alex Sarr. We want to see growth out of Keyshawn George. We want to see growth out of Bub Carrington. How is that going to happen? CJ McCollum is kind of the teacher, the professor. He can't steal that nickname from my guy, but he did, kind of serve that role. I thought that the CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert move might result in more draft capital. I understand how and why it's the case that no draft capital was exchanged by either side. And there was sort of curious eyebrow raising, I think, for people that supported Washington and people that supported Atlanta. Like Atlanta, some people say, well, Atlanta should have got something back from Washington in terms of draft capital for Trae Young. Trae Young's an all-star. Trae Young, led the league in assists. I thought that Washington had the upper hand there, but if it's the case that ultimately Trae Young, if he moves on and we fetch draft capital from a more attractive partner, so I think Atlanta's going to be good. They got smoked by the Lakers this week, but they were on a little bit of a winning streak post Trey. And that's a young team that is really dynamic that I think is going to be heard from in the playoffs in both this upcoming season and probably for the seasons to come, because I just think they are capable of so much in the way of defense. And if they get anything out of Porzingis, if Porzingis can come back and contribute at all, that Atlanta team, like that draft capital isn't really worth that much. Like, do you really? Oh, great, we got the 18th pick. Oh, great, we have the 22nd pick, because Atlanta's pretty good. So I think it's fine, but I thought that ultimately I didn't know what to anticipate, because this is the modern NBA, right? Who are the depressed sort of assets out there? It's Zion, it's Ja Morant, it's Zach LaVine, and it's Trey. We got the best of that group, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I like how you bring up the fact that Hawks fans were shocked about the return in draft capital, because if you look at it, Desmond Bane and Mikal Bridges went for a combined 10 first-round picks, and then Luka and Trey only, I think it was one, I'm pretty sure, right? Or no, I don't even know. It's
one
insane.
Pick.
One pick. It's just insane to think about. And you bring up a depreciated asset house. I think AD, soon he's going to be gone. I don't understand, though, because he's hurt. He's not hurt. It's a crazy situation that they have right now in Dallas. Going back to the Wiz, do you think there's more moves to come before the trade deadline, or do you think the Trae Young move is their only move?
My sense is that that's it. There's still Chris Middleton, and that's still an asset, and he can still help somebody. And maybe they, I haven't done any additional asking, because we made our big splash, and Middleton for sure would be some kind of draft capital in return. But I don't, is Chris Middleton worth one first round pick? I don't know. It doesn't feel like at this stage of the game. So, it would be for some additional contract flexibility, perhaps, and maybe, some kind of second combination. But that would be it, right?
Yeah, I think maybe you buy him out or something like that.
Sure.
We'll see how that shapes up.
Maybe Marvin Bagley. Sorry to cut you off,
Ben, that's a good point.
That's a guy that I feel like could definitely be a backup big man on a contending team.
Definitely.
I kind of like Bagley, though. I kind of want them to keep him around, but that's just my opinion. House, you're a gambling man. You talk about gambling a lot. If Young is around on this team next year and a top 4 draft pick, would you put some coin down on Washington to be a playoff team next year? And I guess play-in will count for that. So,
okay,
would you put some money on that?
If you count play-in, the answer is yes, but I need to know who that draft pick is, because my opinion of how many wins this team is capable of really depends on whether it's Cam Boozer or it's Darren Peterson or Debanza.
So who would generate the most wins for you in your number one of their career, in your opinion?
I think Cam Boozer. I know that's I understand the appeal of Peterson, and he's dynamic, and I wouldn't dare say a bad thing. Debanza, I can't tell if he's Andrew Wiggins. I don't want him to be Andrew Wiggins, but man, I see a lot. He's such an extraordinary athlete. But I think Boozer is just a stone cold badass winner, and he's up for every single moment. And he is an NBA ready player right this second. He could come on and play for any number of NBA teams right now. Boozer would be the guy. We need to bolster the front court a little bit.
Okay. We can talk about the front court, what it might look like next year when we come back here on Locked On Wizards. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in-network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly, and it helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit that makes the most sense for you. Being able to choose in-person or video makes scheduling way easier. If you're far away from the office, just get in on Zoom. Any way is better than not going to the doctor at all. The real-time availability means you can book instantly without having to play phone tag. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. The fit going forward in the front court is going to be interesting because I was a little bit surprised that we didn't see Washington go a little more double big in the lineup whatsoever this year. And I guess the reasoning for that, for Keith not to make that rotational decision, is because they literally have no depth at the position whatsoever outside of Sar, Bagley, and then Tristan Vukcevic, I guess, is your third center that's on a two-way contract. How much better do you think they would look defensively if you had a big physical bruising power forward or slash center to play alongside Sar? Would that help them out a lot defensively?
I hope so, because that's got to be the point of emphasis, and you can see it with Keith. The curious thing with this Wizards team, their home games, they are choosing the defensive end for the second half. They're playing offense in the first half and playing defense in front of Keith in the second half, because the home team gets to choose this. And I think that's really, I was struck by it. It's really instructive that he wants to be in their ear and in their face for that defense in the second half, especially in games where it looks like they're actually sort of trying to win. The big open question is, can a rookie come in and make that impact? Now, I will tell you, I said it, I'm on record. I thought that Malawach from Duke would be a very good fit for this Washington team in the most recent draft. 6 was too high for him, so I thought there was some possibility, just conceptually for me, based on how dynamic I thought Malawach was in the NCAA tournament, where he showed an offensive rebounding prowess and really that rim protection piece of it. He got drafted in the right place. Now, he hasn't really distinguished himself in Phoenix, so I'm not second guessing anything, but it goes to the point that you guys are making, which is we got to see a defensive identity emerge from this team at some point. Sar's getting blocks, and that's fine. He's getting blocks because he's a great athlete and he's in good position enough times to get blocks, but there is zero rim protection. Teams want to score in the paint, go ahead and have at it. It's a layup line. I watched it Friday night against the Pelicans. It literally a layup line. I think Zion missed 3 shots, and he missed it because he missed it. He didn't miss it because of the way he was being defended. Derek Queen had a great game as well. So I hope we get somebody in here that can help with that front court rim protection aspect of it.
We mentioned Boozer, DeBonza, and Peterson, but House, I want to ask you about UNC's Caleb Wilson. What's your thoughts on him? Because man, he can jump out the gym.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather, I'm not, again, I think I've said that 2 or 3 times here. We might end up with him. Like, you know, the Wizards don't have extraordinary luck so far, especially in these most recent drafts. We did get Sar, we did get the 2, but that draft was a project draft for not ready-made NBA players. That particular draft, with the exception of Castle, who, you know, man, he's so impressive there in San Antonio. But I'd like to see Caleb in the bright. I want to see them in this NCAA tournament. I need Carolina. I need to see him, you know, when the lights are on and when that pressure is there, because it's hard. It's not my professional job to be an NBA scout, notwithstanding the criticisms that we lob at every front office in the NBA for making bad picks. We're so sure that we know what we're talking about. I definitely don't know what I'm talking about, but I'd like to see more of Caleb.
I thought Sar this year would have a jump offensively. I thought he'd look a lot better. I'm astonished at how much better he looks offensively this season. Are you shocked like I am to see just how good he's been on that end in year number 2?
It's gratifying. Well, I mean, it means that the vision of the team in drafting him and his capacity to play out on the perimeter, to be a 3-point shooter. I attended a game with a friend last week when I went to the Magic game, and he said, "Tell me about Sar." And I said to him, "Well, let's just watch this first quarter, and then I'll tell you the story of Sar from my perspective." And what we saw from him, he got the touches because they that was a very gratifying game against the Magic. That's the last game they won. It might be the last game they win for quite a while. But I will say this, they ran offense, and it was a good offense, and Sar was getting his touches. He caught a ball mid-post, had a turnaround, knocked down a mid-range jumper. He had a nice touch at the top of the 3-point line, very sweet stroke, open, quick, balanced, shoulders forward, everything that you want. And then he had a rim-running dunk. And then at the end of the quarter, I said, there you go. You saw all of Sar. He's got the mid-range game. He's got this 3-point thing. And then you want him rim running because that's where his athleticism can really come to the fore. So I've just been absolutely thrilled to see this, because it's real progress out of him.
I think it's more impressive that you've seen this improvement without a pure point guard. So it's going to be exciting when he gets that guy. I want to ask you about another young guy, House, Keyshawn George. He started off the year hot. Game 2 against Dallas, 30-plus points. Everyone was like, oh, watch out for Keyshawn. Injuries have riddled his season a little bit. Where do you see his ceiling as a Wizard?
Super high. Like he's got the size and the potential to be an all-star in this league. And I don't think that is hyperbole. He is, he's a baby. Like, we have to remind ourselves how young all of these guys that we're talking about on this Wizards roster. He isn't mature physically. He's still learning the game. You can see him learning on the fly as it's happening. But I mean, any kid of his sort of size and stature that comes in and drops 30 in an NBA game, that's enough for me. I mean, that means that he's got unrealized potential. And once again, if we're going to glass half full it, let's let Trey help us realize it. Let's see Trae Young next year help us realize that potential.
Real quick about the other Trey that has been on the roster the entire season, Trey Johnson. He's approaching something that no rookie in NBA history has ever done, and that's be part of the 50-40-90 club. If he shot 54% from the field over the remainder of the season, he'd be the first rookie in NBA history to do so. Do you think he could actually pull something like this off? And if he does that make him the rookie of the year?
I don't. He's going to have you have to remember how
it's such an uphill battle.
You're fighting storytellers is the problem. Nobody's going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But holy cow, what an achievement! And I really hope that the team goes all in. What that means is he's going to have to score in transition, because he needs those high percentage around the rim kind of buckets. And so far, that hasn't been his like inclination, his aptitude, and it's hard with this young team, to get free and be able to go in from the wing, from the places that he occupies to get to the rim with the way that we run offense is going to have to come in transition. So we're going to have to needs a tiny uptick in steals and blocks out of the defense for him to get out in transition and get some of those easy ones to get to that shooting percentage.
This was definitely a fun episode, House. I was going to ask, are you planning to go to any more games?
I'll definitely go to a couple games. Respectfully, tickets aren't hard to come by. And I love seeing other teams and seeing how their coaches are treating different sort of aspects of it, because now every game against Washington is an opportunity for the other team to experiment, and I like seeing those experiments. I like seeing those other guys kind of go off and get healthy. So I'll definitely make it to a couple.
Just a quick golf related question, since I'm sure you're going to tackle this on your podcast, Fairway Rollin'. Brooks Koepka is coming back to the tour. Is Live Golf going to die? That's kind of what it seems like to me.
Not this year. And the reason that I say that is because both Live and the PGA Tour had a lot of sort of notice and planning runway with respect to Brooks Koepka, because Koepka kind of signaled his disinclination to stay with Live in the summer of last year. So Liv's been planning for it, and the PGA Tour has been planning for it as well. The big mover for Liv is Bryson DeChambeau, and it looks like he's going to stay. John Rahm is definitely going to stay. And so they have something. They are a rest of world tour, right? The U.S. tour is the PGA Tour. The rest of world tour is the Liv Tour. They're going to go out and do their best in 2026. If Bryson or Rahm win a major this year, that is accretive value to the Liv Tour, and both those guys are capable of winning. So they'll be around for this year.
There's your PGA/Live update if anybody watching this channel cares about it, but I just thought it was interesting going forward. House, we appreciate you making some time. You're so many places. You're on the air, it seems like all the time, so we really appreciate you making some time for us here.
Anytime, fellas. I'm locked on the Wizards, as you know, so anytime you guys call, I answer.
There's not many of you, so we appreciate it.
Let's go. Hopefully better days are ahead and better days of fandom and less joning from Bill Simmons on the pod. So
he's good. That's never
going
to stop.
He'll find a way. Knowing him, he will find a way. All right, everybody, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Wizards. Big shout out to our guy House, Joe House. You can catch him on the XF House from DC. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball podcast, where Josh Lloyd keeps you up to date every day. Once again, thanks to our guy House. And for my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. I'll talk to you later.